Welcome back! I'm Brittany from Hawaii Wedding Studio. Today, we're diving into the magic of Oahu elopements with a true wedding dream team, Reverend James Chun and documentary-style photographer Sara Rodriguez. They'll be sharing how a chance encounter at a ceremony blossomed into a profound friendship, and how their seamless on-site collaboration keeps couples feeling safe and totally present on their big day. Plus, Sara reveals how her unique background as a breakdancer shapes her ability to capture raw, sentimental moments and authentic emotion. All right, let's get engaged.
Ruling back, turning talk into facts. Stay a while, press and play. You're smart, great every day.
Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. I am Sam.
And I am Riley.
And today we are doing something a little dangerous. We are stepping right into the love industry.
Dangerous. I mean, I thought we were just talking about weddings.
Oh, it is an absolute minefield.
Mm-hmm.
We are mentally packing our bags, grabbing the SPF 50, and heading straight to the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah, I am on board.
Because we are talking about the universal dream.
Yes. The ultimate fantasy. You know, sun, sand, the ocean breeze, the May tides. It looks perfect on paper. It is literally what launches a million Pinterest boards every single year.
It really is. But then the panic sets in.
Right.
You book the flight, you get the perfect dress, but then you realize you actually have to hire people to capture this.
Yeah, the fear is so real.
You are terrified you're going to hire a photographer who makes you do those stiff, awkward prom poses.
You mean the classic, okay, now hug the palm tree and look lovingly at the coconut.
Yes. Or now jump in the air like you just won the lottery. And suddenly your dream wedding looks like a stock photo from a 1995 travel brochure. It is cheesy and it is painful.
It is a totally legitimate fear, though. The line between tropical paradise and cheesy tourist trap is razor thin when it comes to wedding photography.
It really is.
Because you want the aloha spirit, but you definitely do not want the kitsch.
Which is exactly why today our mission is to do a deep dive into Sara Rodriguez photography based in Oahu.
We have gone through everything. Her website, her blog posts, client reviews, and even this really fascinating interview with her frequent collaborator, Rev James Chun.
And we need to figure out why this specific photographer and the team she has built is making such massive waves in the Honolulu wedding scene.
Right. How do they capture that authentic aloha vibe without making you feel like a prop in a bad rom-com?
And look, this isn't just about theft stops and shutter speeds. We found some details about Sara's background that honestly blew my mind.
Oh, the secret talents.
Yes. I am still recovering from the breakdancing revelation, which we will absolutely get to.
We definitely will. But let's unpack this from the top. Who is Sara Rodriguez? Because reading her bio, she does not sound like your typical vendor.
Not at all. So she is originally from Colombia, but she has made her home in paradise out in Oahu.
And if you look at her About page, she explicitly rejects that title of vendor. She describes herself as a personal cheerleader.
I love that so much. And she says she smiles with, quote, literally all of her teeth.
Which is just a fantastic visual. It implies a level of enthusiasm that might be illegal in some states.
It really paints a picture. She is not the brooding artist sulking in the corner. She's just exploding with energy.
But there are some personality quirks here that we definitely need to address.
Oh, I know.
Because for a busy wedding photographer, there is one thing on her list of likes and dislikes that is frankly shocking.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I had to read this 3 times to make sure it wasn't a typo. She avoids coffee.
Completely. Zero caffeine.
How does that work? Explain the biology to me. The wedding industry is fueled entirely by espresso, panic, and adrenaline.
It really is.
How is she surviving a 10-hour wedding day in the sun?
Well, according to her bio, she runs on Jesus, big bowls of ice cream, and sunsets.
Okay, well, the sugar rush from the ice cream probably helps a bit.
Right. But still, that is a level of natural energy that I find both incredibly impressive and slightly intimidating.
It totally speaks to her personality type, though. She doesn't need the artificial boost because she is naturally operating at an 11.
Exactly. And she is very open about being emotional, too. She admits she cries at almost every movie, whether it's happy or sad.
She wears her heart on her sleeve, which honestly is probably a very good trait for a wedding photographer.
Yeah, you want someone who actually feels the weight of the moment, not someone just checking their watch wondering when dinner is.
Right. But my absolute favorite quirk listed in her bio, and we are going to come back to this later because it's crucial to the plot, is that she admits she will wildly dance no matter where she is.
Which, you might think is just a figure of speech. You might think she likes to wiggle a little bit when the DJ plays Uptown Funk.
But as we found out, it is definitely not a figure of speech. It is a warning.
Or a promise. Depends on how you look at it.
Exactly. But before we get to the dance floor, we have to look at the team structure. Because Sara isn't just a lone wolf running around the island.
Right. There is a dynamic duo element here. This is a husband and wife team.
We have Sara on photos, and her husband Miguel is the videographer. They market themselves as the Sara and Miguel package.
And they made a claim in their bio that actually sounds a little terrifying to me as a married person, but they seem to love it. They say they are together 24/7.
And they literally clarify, quote, I'm not even exaggerating.
That is a lot of togetherness.
That is a dangerous amount of togetherness. Like, I love you, honey, but please go to the other side of the house for a while.
Exactly. But for a wedding, I guess that's actually a huge strategic asset.
It is massive. Think about the logistics of a typical wedding day.
Right. Usually hire a photographer from company A and a videographer from company B.
They have never met before. They show up, and suddenly they are fighting for the exact same angle.
Yes. The photographer stands in front of the videographer's shot. The videographer accidentally trips the photographer.
It's a subtle turf war all day long.
But with Sara and Miguel, they are a hive mind.
They describe themselves as a hype crew. They move as one single unit.
They aren't just documenting the day. They are there to be your friends and keep the energy up. They know each other's movements perfectly.
Miguel knows when Sarah's going to duck, so he knows exactly when to pan left.
That hype crew vibe is so interesting because it bridges the gap between professional and pal.
But let's go back to the beginning for a second. How does a girl from Colombia end up as a premier wedding photographer in Hawaii? What is the origin story?
It is really touching, actually. In an interview, Sara mentioned that where she came from, photography was considered a luxury.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't something everyone just had on their phones in high definition back then. But her mom always made sure to document their lives anyway.
So she grew up really understanding the fundamental value of freezing a moment.
Yes. But she didn't start with weddings. She didn't just come out of the womb holding a Canon camera.
No, and this is where her style starts to make so much sense. She was a dancer first.
Ah, the dancing comes back. The plot thickens.
It does. She was a serious dancer.
Yeah.
And she used to get so frustrated with photos of herself and her friends because the pictures never captured the actual feeling of the movement.
You mean the adrenaline, the power, the flow?
Exactly. It just looks static, like a weird statue.
That makes perfect sense. If you don't understand the mechanics of a dance move, you click the shutter at the wrong nanosecond and it just looks awkward.
You completely miss the peak of the jump.
Right. So she was really inspired by a photographer named Little Xiao, who deeply understood how to photograph movement.
And when she transitioned to weddings about 5 years ago, she brought that exact same philosophy with her.
She realized she didn't just want to photograph people standing there looking like mannequins.
She wanted people to feel the photos. She wanted to capture the hugs, the tears, the physical movement of the day.
She wants the photo to have a pulse.
That is a brilliant way to put it. And that leads right into her whole philosophy on the love industry.
I was reading this one story she shared about a bride. I call it the fight theory.
Oh, man, this one hit me. It is heavy, but in a really good way.
It is so profound. Sara fundamentally believes that marriage is the foundation of family.
Right.
And she shared this story about a bride who told her that whenever she and her husband get into a really bad fight,
You know, the kind where you're sleeping on the couch.
exactly. When things are rough, she goes and looks at her wedding photos.
Not to criticize her hair or complain about the dress.
No, to actively remind herself why they got married in the first place. To literally remember that first day of commitment.
And Sara took that to heart. She realizes she isn't just taking pretty pictures for Instagram likes. She is creating evidence.
Evidence of love. That is actually really heavy.
It puts a massive amount of responsibility on the photographer. You're not just a vendor, you are the historian of the relationship.
You are curating the artifacts that might literally save the marriage 10 years down the line.
No pressure, Sara. Just go ahead and save the marriage.
So how does that translate to her actual style on the ground? If you are looking at a Sara Rodriguez photo, what are you seeing?
She uses 3 specific words: documentary, candid, sentimental. She's always looking for the in-between moment.
The in-between moment.
Yeah, like the laugh right after the kiss, or the way you hold hands while you're walking to the next location without even thinking about it.
Oh, I love that.
Her goal, she says, is to get the couple to completely forget she is even there. She tells them, "You're already winning. You're in Hawaii."
Which is incredibly true. It is very hard to be grumpy in Hawaii. If you are grumpy in Hawaii, that is a personal problem.
So true. So she just wants them to connect. She positions herself to capture the authentic connection, not the forced pose.
Okay, so we have the philosophy. We have the husband and wife team dynamic. But there is another partnership here that seems really central to her business model.
And it involves a man named Rev James Chun.
This is such a great how they met story. It wasn't on a dating app, and it wasn't at some boring networking conference.
It was appropriately at a wedding ceremony in Oahu.
A totally serendipitous meeting out in the wild. James was the officiant. Sara was the photographer. They had been hired completely independently by the couple.
But James said he was immediately struck by her warmth. You know that smiling with all her teeth energy we talked about?
It is noticeable. You literally can't miss it.
It cuts right through the noise. So right after the ceremony, James does something super impulsive. He invites Sara and Miguel to dinner. Just, hey, let's go eat.
And the absolute best detail of this story, and I need everyone to appreciate the humor here, is where their spouses were at that exact moment.
It is hilarious. James's wife, Amel, and Sarah's husband, Miguel, were both already waiting in their respective cars for the workday to end.
Just patiently sitting in the parking lot, probably scrolling on their phones, wondering what in the world was taking so long.
That right there is true love. Waiting in the car while your spouse finishes a wedding, and then suddenly you get dragged out to dinner with total strangers.
Surprise! We're making friends now.
So they drag the spouses out of the cars, they go to dinner, and the professional veneer just drops.
They start talking about life, about being new to Hawaii, and then comes the big reveal.
This is the part I love. This is the ultimate plot twist.
Over dinner, James discovers that Sara and Miguel aren't just casual dancers who like to boogie at receptions. They are serious, high-level breakdancers.
Breakdancers. I am sorry, but the image of a wedding photographer putting down her camera, spinning her hat backwards, and doing a head spin is just delightful to me.
James was completely floored. He couldn't believe these working adults had such a disciplined passion for movement.
And that completely cemented their bond.
Yeah.
They realized they shared this intense zest for life.
And listeners, we are not making this up. Sara admits she will wildly dance no matter where she is. Now we know she actually has the skills to back it up.
And that friendship turned into a very real business partnership, which is a key takeaway for anyone listening who is planning a wedding right now.
Absolutely. You can actually book Sara's services as a package with Rev James Chun of Hawaii Wedding Studio.
Which seems like an incredibly smart move for logistics.
It is huge. They describe their workflow together as one wave.
One wave. I really like that. Very Hawaiian.
They do not fight for position. They communicate quietly about light and angles. Because James is a super experienced officiant, he knows exactly where to place the couple.
So Sara gets the absolute best shot without having to interrupt the ceremony to aggressively move people around.
That one-wave concept is crucial because nothing ruins a vibe faster than a photographer elbowing the priest out of the way.
Or the officiant totally blocking the first kiss.
Exactly. It keeps the ceremony so intimate, it flows like water.
So let's talk about the location itself. Oahu. Why is Sara so obsessed with it? I mean, obviously it is beautiful, but what does she say specifically about photographing there?
She points out a really unique feature of the Oahu landscape, the color contrast.
Right.
You get these vibrant blue beaches and deep, lush green mountains, very often in the exact same frame. It gives the photos a richness you just don't get everywhere else.
And she mentioned something about the lighting that really surprised me. Usually photographers absolutely hate the midday sun.
They do. They want that golden hour at sunset.
If you tell a photographer we're shooting at 2 p.m., they usually start crying.
Midday sun means harsh shadows, raccoon eyes, and everyone is sweating.
But Sara claims Oahu light is amazing almost all day long.
She says even at 2 or 3 p.m., the water is so shockingly blue and vibrant that the shots still look completely epic.
That is so good to know if you don't want to wake up at 4 a.m. for a sunrise ceremony.
Or if you just want to get married, have a nice lunch, and then take a nap.
Although she does recommend mourning for certain specific things, doesn't she?
She does. Specifically for vow renewals. We looked at a blog post about a really sweet and intimate renewal down at Sandy Beach.
Oh, yeah.
She highly recommends mornings there to beat the tourist crowds and get what she calls soft tones that feel like a warm hug.
Soft tones that feel like a warm hug.
Yeah.
She really is a poet.
She is. And for those renewals, she loves involving the family. She calls the kids little angels.
Even if they aren't acting like it in the moment, I assume.
Probably. But she loves capturing the kids, watching their parents renew their vows. It goes right back to her core belief that marriage is the foundation of the family.
And for our European listeners, or just anyone needing extra help with logistics, she collaborates with a specific planner for these, right?
Yes. She mentions working with nanny weddings, which focuses heavily on European couples, specifically Austrian and German speakers.
So if you are coming all the way from that part of the world and you are worried about the language barrier or the logistics, she already has a pipeline built for you.
It is a brilliant niche.
Now let's pivot to something a little more high stakes. Surprise proposals.
Oh man, the ultimate pressure cooker.
Sara offers full planning for this. It is not just show up and shoot.
No, she is a full-on co-conspirator.
Yeah.
For about $480 in town, or $580 out of town, she helps choose the location, the exact time, and creates a believable plan to keep it a surprise.
I love the believable plan part. Honey, let's go stand on this specific rock at exactly 5:14 p.m. for absolutely no reason.
She actually helps craft the backstory. She tells the proposer exactly where to stand and exactly when to drop to one knee, so the lighting is absolutely perfect.
But my absolute favorite part of this is the stealth mode.
Oh, yes.
She says she positions herself discreetly, literally hiding in bushes or hiding behind tourists so the partner doesn't notice a professional photographer lurking around.
I just imagine her in a full ghillie suit made of palm fronds, hiding the tropical foliage like a sniper.
It effectively removes all the nerves. She says her goal is to make the proposer feel confident so they can just focus entirely on the question.
They don't have to worry about looking over to see if the camera's ready. She's in the bush. She's got it.
And again, knowing she's a breakdancer, she can probably roll out of that bush pretty gracefully when the moment is right.
I would absolutely pay extra to see that.
Yeah, we have heard what she promises. We've heard about the breakdancing, the bushes, and the Jesus and ice cream diet. But what are the actual clients saying?
We look at a bunch of reviews. Does the reality actually match the hype?
It really seems to. The reviews are glowing, but they focus very consistently on one specific thing, her energy.
The cheerleader energy.
Yes, one review specifically said she made the entire experience feel like time spent with Ohana family.
They use words like gem, calming, and infectious.
And that calming part is so interesting because she is admittedly very high energy. But I guess if you are super nervous, having someone who is confident and happy is actually calming.
Exactly. It's mirror neurons, right?
Yeah.
If your photographer is stressed out, checking settings constantly, looking worried about the light fading, you are going to be stressed.
But if the photographer is smiling with all her teeth, loving life, and looking at you like you are a literal movie star, you relax.
You think, okay, she's got this. I can just enjoy the moment.
And on the practical side, did they mention the actual deliverables?
Super fast turnaround. Some reviews mention getting their photos back in just 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
4 weeks. In the wedding photography world, that is lightning fast.
That is incredibly impressive. Usually you're celebrating your first anniversary by the time you finally get the album, or you just forgotten you even got married.
And she delivers high-res images and a private online gallery. Standard stuff, but executed with incredible speed and that personal touch.
So let's connect this all back to the big picture here. We started this deep dive asking how you get the aloha spirit without the cheese. How do you avoid the stock photo wedding?
What is the final verdict?
I really think it comes down to authenticity. You simply cannot fake aloha. Sara and her team, Miguel, Rev James, they seem to genuinely love what they do.
They are just clocking in to pay the bills.
Right. When you have a photographer who is perfectly willing to hide in a bush, breakdance at dinner, to bond with the officiant, and actually cry at your ceremony, that is investment.
It is the stark difference between hiring a vendor and hiring a friend. And for an Oahu wedding where the environment is so natural and grand, you need a team that feels natural, too.
You do not want a stiff director barking orders.
Yeah.
You want a guide who is going to laugh with you.
And maybe teach you a few breakdancing moves at the reception?
If you are lucky. Or at least flawlessly capture you attempting them.
Exactly. So if you are planning a wedding, an elopement, or a very stealthy proposal in Oahu, it sounds like you definitely need to check out Sara Rodriguez photography.
And honestly, do not forget that package deal with Rev James Chun of Hawaii Wedding Studio if you want that stress-free one-wave workflow.
It sounds like the absolute best way to do it.
Absolutely. And, here's something provocative to chew on as we wrap up. We spend so much time curating the perfect wedding day for the photos. But what if the photos are actually the thing that curates the marriage decades later?
Wow.
Are we just staging the start of the marriage? Or are we literally writing the manual on how to survive it when things get tough?
That is a brilliant point to end on.
Hey, if you want more insights into navigating the wild world of weddings, or you just want to dream about Hawaiian beaches while you sit in your cubicle, make sure you hit subscribe on this podcast.
We have lots more deep dives coming your way.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Go find your own in-between moments today.
Aloha.
Aloha.
What a beautiful and inspiring conversation! James and Sara's incredible partnership reminds us that having a vendor team that truly flows together as one wave is the secret to feeling safe and staying fully present on your wedding day. Whether you're planning an epic Oahu elopement or a sweet vow renewal, remember that your photos are there to remind you, decades from now, exactly why you chose each other. A huge thank you to Reverend James and Sara for sharing their hearts and their aloha with us today. Until next time, stay salty, stay hitched, and we'll see you on the sands of Oahu.